Indeed, I think Charles II. I mean, she had aristocratic forebears. Her father was in the lifeguards. She mixed in royal circles from a very early age. Her father was the polo manager to King Charles.
For decades, Sarah Ferguson managed to survive scandal after scandal with a smile, a joke, and a sense that somehow she would always land on her feet. But in recent years, and especially since the renewed focus on her connection to Jeffrey Epstein, the rumours surrounding the former Duchess of York have taken on a much darker tone. Some of these stories have been whispered for years. Others are only now being spoken about openly. Today, we are going through 8 rumours about Sarah Ferguson that royal watchers simply could not ignore. One of the longest-running rumours connected to Sarah Ferguson does not actually involve Sarah herself, but her mother, Susan Barantes. According to royal biographer Andrew Lowney, Prince Philip allegedly engaged in extramarital relationships during his marriage to Queen Elizabeth II, and Susan Barantes was said to be one of those women. Lowney has said he stands by this claim because his source was his wife, Angela Lowney, who grew up in the same neighbourhood as the Ferguson family, and insists the story was widely known. One of the most uncomfortable allegations surrounding Sarah Ferguson comes from Ghislaine Maxwell herself. According to Maxwell, Sarah was romantically interested in Jeffrey Epstein. Maxwell claimed she believed Sarah was trying to put the moves on Epstein and admitted she felt jealous, annoyed, and sidelined by the situation. She described feeling disrespected and said the dynamic between Sarah, Epstein, and Andrew was strange. There is no independent confirmation of this claim, and Sarah has never publicly addressed it. Still, the allegation continues to circulate because it came directly from someone who was deeply embedded in Epstein's inner circle.
The witnesses who've shown that she was staying at these properties for years after she claimed to have cut off links, including the doorman there. The doorman would all get dressed up when Fergie was staying. But yes, there's plenty of evidence that, I mean, £15,000 was nothing to Epstein, and to be honest, it's nothing for her.
Then comes the allegations regarding the money Fergie accepted from Epstein. Apparently, the amount is much larger than she ever admitted. In 2011, Sarah Ferguson publicly acknowledged that she accepted a £15,000 loan from Jeffrey Epstein to cover an unpaid assistant during a period of financial difficulty. She later apologised, calling it a gigantic error of judgment. However, rumours quickly surfaced that the amount was far higher. Palace insiders speaking to the Daily Mail claimed Sarah repeatedly asked Epstein for money. Andrew Lowney later alleged in his book entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York that Sarah accepted hundreds of thousands of pounds from Epstein over time. One source claimed Epstein eventually became tired of the constant requests and distanced himself from both Sarah and Andrew. Another allegation that refuses to disappear involves claims that Sarah visited Epstein after he had already served time in prison. Epstein himself alleged in emails to his lawyer, Paul Tweed, that Sarah visited him in New York after his release and brought Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie with her. He claims she celebrated his release and asked him for help with her charities. Sarah has denied this, and both daughters reportedly say they do not remember such a visit. However, flight logs confirm that Sarah travelled with her daughters to Epstein's Bahamas residence in 1998, which has kept questions lingering even years later.
Now let's talk about Fergie, if we can call her that. And we know that despite all the scandals and scams, she's always managed to bounce back. And there are reports that say, here we go again. Barely a fortnight after being kicked out of the royal family, the former Duchess of York is trumpeting plans to restore her battered reputation. Andrew, what more can you tell us about this?
Then there's the rumour that she's planning a tell-all interview now that she's been kicked out of Royal Lodge. As Andrew's reputation collapsed, speculation grew that Sarah Ferguson might one day break her long public loyalty. Some insiders told the Daily Mail that Sarah would say anything to save her own skin, while others claimed her fate remained tied to Andrew's. More recently, sources told another online outlet that American media executives would be eager for a controlled tell-all interview, one that would allow Sarah to distance herself from Andrew without the chaos of his Newsnight appearance. While Sarah has remained publicly supportive, insiders suggested that if forced to choose between protecting Andrew or protecting her own future, she would put herself first. Then we move on to the financial allegations. According to Andrew Lowney, Sarah Ferguson's financial problems were not minor missteps, but catastrophic. He claimed Sarah burned through millions during her marriage, spending heavily on staff, holidays, parties, flowers, and luxury shopping, often with little thought about how the bills would be paid. In April 1994, Coutts Bank reportedly demanded £500,000 within 14 days. Lowney alleged that Queen Elizabeth II quietly bailed Sarah out on several occasions, including covering that emergency payment, a claim that has become one of the most cited examples of royal intervention behind the scenes.
And I have it both from somebody who worked for Epstein and a member of the royal household that the sum we should be talking about is about £2 million.
The Times asked this morning, is it game over for Fergie, the Duchess of Disaster?
Among the more eye-opening details in Lowney's research is the claim that Sarah spent £65,000 on personal trainers, who were kept on permanent standby. According to the book, she reportedly used their services only twice in 1 year. The allegation became symbolic of what critics described as unchecked excess, especially at a time when her debts were spiralling. Finally, there is the rumour that Sarah's affairs did not happen discreetly behind closed doors, but openly and in a way that deeply embarrassed the royal household. It has long been claimed that both Sarah and Andrew had affairs during their marriage, but later reports alleged that Sarah's relationship with John Bryan crossed a line even by royal standards. According to those reports, Sarah allegedly welcomed Bryan into Andrew's private study at Royal Lodge after Andrew had already gone to bed, a claim that shocked palace staff and added to the sense that boundaries within the marriage had completely collapsed. Many have long pointed to a pattern of relationships, including earlier claims involving Texas millionaire Steve Wyatt and other unnamed men she reportedly met during overseas trips. While some of these relationships were denied or downplayed at the time, the repeated nature of the rumours created an impression that the marriage had effectively become an open arrangement long before the public divorce. For critics, these stories reinforce the idea that Sarah felt increasingly untouchable, willing to behave in ways that would have been unthinkable for most members of the royal family, especially within the walls of a royal residence. Those are the 8 rumours that continue to follow Sarah Ferguson, some dating back decades, others tied to far more recent events. Some are supported by documents and direct quotes, others remain allegations that have never been fully resolved. Which of these do you think carries the most weight? And which do you believe has been exaggerated over time? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy royal family stories, make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss the next one. Thank you for watching.